The opinions expressed in the Brothers-in-Law show are for informational purposes only and are not a substitute for personal professional legal advice.
Thanks for tuning in to Brothers-in-Law on Go Country 105. I'm Larry Mandel.
And I'm Rob Mandel.
And we've been trial attorneys here in Los Angeles for over 40 years.
On our show, we will discuss current events, talk about legal issues, and have some very entertaining guests stop by. So stay tuned every week for Brothers-in-Law right here on Go Country 105. All right, everybody. Here we are on Brothers-in-Law. I'm Rob Mandel.
And I'm Larry Mandel.
And we're so glad to be back here on Go Country 105 FM.
How about a shout out? Oh, go ahead, Rob.
Well, go ahead.
Shout out to Debbie at Mortgage Mom.
Yeah.
She's great.
Always great to follow her. Oh, yeah. Great show. Hey, so Larry, do you remember when we were kids, we had these metabolisms that were just insane? We were like on fire all the time and could eat anything we want. We ate a lot of sugary, bad stuff and junk food. We never seemed to gain weight. Do you remember that?
Yeah, and I ate very fast too.
You still are a fast eater.
No, I slowed down.
I don't know about that. But it was just weird because, I think it hit you a little earlier than it did me. No offense.
Getting fat?
Well, yeah. This idea that you just, all of a sudden these things that you were eating now are making you slower and chunkier and seemingly now starting to affect you. And of course now we realize, look around, you turn around and in this country we have an obesity epidemic and a diabetes epidemic and other problems that medicine has now associated with having too much sugar and other things in your diet that are just not good for you in the long run.
Yeah, and if you go to a lot of these restaurants, these feature these large portions as if they're giving
supersized.
Such a great deal, but then you're overeating. Instead of eating a proportionate amount, with balancing protein and vegetables and stuff like that, you're just consuming high carbs.
Right.
And that kind of leads us to our first guest.
That's right. We're very fortunate to have in the studio with us Rick Kahdeman, and he is from Optavia, which is a methodology for dealing with illness and obesity. And welcome, Rick. Why don't you tell us what's going on, man? How are you?
I'm great, Rob.
Good morning, Rick.
Hi, Larry. Great to be here. Thank you.
So tell us about Optavia.
Well, Optavia is a under-the-radar name. Not many people know about it, and the reason is they don't advertise. Optavia was created by a doctor 20 years ago, and he was the 10th board-certified doctor in critical care in this country. And being trained as a traditional doctor, what he did was he diagnosed chronic disease, and then he treated that chronic disease with pharmaceuticals to treat the symptoms of those diseases, which is how the medical industry and the health industry and the medical profession treats chronic disease.
Right.
And what he realized after doing that for 20 years was that he was putting Band-Aids on people.
Right.
And he would fix them up, send them out of the ICU, back into their lives, and 6 months later they'd be back.
Yeah.
And what he dreamed about was going upstream and treating the causes of the problems that the people he was fixing.
That makes a lot of sense. It's kind of like our opioid dilemma right now.
Pretty much.
To some degree.
Pretty much. And so he understood, because of his background, that the real causes of type 2 diabetes, for example, and cardiovascular disease and obesity, which is all related, all caused by the same thing, were caused by unhealthy eating, especially excessive carbohydrates and an improper balance of the macronutrients of protein, carbs, fats, and fiber, which resulted in an elevated glucose and elevated insulin throughout the day, every day.
Yeah.
And those are the kind of things that that was causing the diseases that he was treating, and he wanted to treat the causes rather than the symptoms with pharmaceuticals.
Right.
And so he knew and understood that you and I, when we have to deal with those circumstances, that it's hard for us to change our habits. We got that way through unhealthy habits. And he knew he had to give us a simple solution that would be easy and convenient and affordable for us to change our habits.
So how do we
especially our
do
eating
that?
habits.
So how do you
He
do
actually
that?
created what we refer to as fuelings, but they're food that gives each individual the proper balance of all those macronutrients and every vitamin and mineral, and they're all low glycemic, so we can learn how to eat properly and change our habits while we're doing it. And once we've got our habits changed, then we migrate our clients back into all whole food, the foods they like. Now that they've changed their habits, now they can eat whole food and maintain their healthy weight or their healthy circumstances that they've never done before. And I'm a living example of that. That's how I got started.
Yeah,
So tell us
you're
about
good.
that.
Well, 12 years ago, I was 50 pounds heavier than you see me right now.
Wow.
And
Can I just say, because
Sure.
we're on the radio, if you were to see Rick, you'd think you're looking at a guy who's about 55 years old. He's the picture of health. He's trim. He's fit. He's tan. He's smiling, and he just looks great. How old are you?
I'm 73.
Wow. Yeah. That's crazy. All right, so you were
That's
50.
a testament.
50, and you're. So how tall are you?
I'm 5'9.5",
Okay, and what do you weigh now?
170 pounds.
Okay,
And
so
what did
you
you
were
weigh?
230.
I was 220.
Okay,
I was 50 pounds
220.
heavier than I am now.
And were you
But
carrying it all on your stomach?
Oh yeah. Well, it's everywhere. It's everywhere, but which most of it shows up there in men.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. This is what got me started. I was like everybody else. I was 61 years old, and I was an older dad. I started a family when I was 58. My wife and I
wow.
had twins.
Oh, my
Boy-girl
gosh.
twins. I know. And so here I am, 61 years old. I've got 3-year-old twins. I'm 50 pounds heavier, and I went to the doctor and found out that I had
Diabetes?
no, I did not. I was pre-diabetic. I had very high cholesterol. My blood pressure was rising. And thank God for me that the doctor pointed his finger at me and said, Rick, would you like to be alive when it's time to teach those 3-year-old twins how to drive? Because I want to tell you something, buddy. You are on the fast track to an early death. And those kids are going to be without a dad. It's just a question of when, not if.
My God.
And he said, you've got to do something. The problem was, as good as that advice was, he didn't have the solution. He didn't have the vehicle for me to follow. He told me, go find a diet that's right for you. That was his only advice.
Yeah.
And that's what doctors basically tell us.
I know.
Go on a diet.
And so what
Right.
do? You go on the internet, you look around, what
Well,
do you do?
luckily for me, I found Optavia by accident, purely stumbled across it by accident. Some friends of ours came to visit us at a party we had. We hadn't seen them in about a year. They walked through the door half the size that we remembered them to be. So we thought, I'm doing what you're doing. You know,
Yeah, that's
I'm
for
gonna do
me.
that. Exactly, it works. It works.
Yeah.
And so we thought we were going on another diet. Luckily for me, this was Optavia. It wasn't a diet. And that's what Optavia is. We are an optimal health program. Yes, we have a weight loss protocol, but because this doctor created the program to deal with the causes of chronic disease, which are the same causes that cause obesity, luckily for me, I got all of my blood work under control. Not only did I lose those 50 pounds, but because of this program, which rapidly normalizes blood sugar and blood insulin, I was able to get my cholesterol under control, my pre-diabetic under control, my blood pressure under control. When I was 70 years old, 3 years ago was the last time I went to the doctor.
Wow.
And I just went for a physical, just to get the blood work done and see where things stood. He told me, Rick, if I didn't know this was you, I'm looking at your blood work results, I'm looking at a healthy 35-year-old man.
That's crazy.
That's amazing. So
And
how
that's
does
what
this,
we do.
How does this program start? What do you do?
Well, what we do with clients who are suffering from type 2 diabetes or just want to lose weight, we do a health assessment on them. In other words, we're not a one-size-fits-all program. We have multiple health protocols that we offer for people, but we have to create and individualize that program based on their particular health circumstances and their particular health goals.
Okay.
And so we do a health assessment on them, and we find out exactly what their circumstances are, because there are people who, the weight loss protocol that I wanted, for example, it may not be appropriate for them depending upon their circumstances. And so we have to find out what those circumstances are. Then we recommend the appropriate protocol that will fit their particular needs and their particular goals. And then we answer all their questions, tell them this is how much it's going to cost, this is how much effort it's going to take. But the nice part about this is that we have 4 components. The fuelings that I told you about that rapidly normalize blood sugar and blood insulin, that's just one of the 4 components that Optavia has to offer their clients. And that's the beauty of it, because we're asking people to change their habits. That's not easy.
That's right.
That's why most diets don't work. That's why the doctor that created our program understood that there are two fundamental statistics that we have to deal with as humans. Number one is 85% of the people who are successful on any weight loss program, for example, they gain their weight back within 2 years.
Because of those habits.
Right. And so what he had to do was how did he address that? He created a lifestyle program, because we have to change our lifestyle. We just can't do a short-term, quote, diet. That's why most diets fail.
Right.
You can lose weight on any diet. There's nothing, as long as they're a healthy way, but you can lose weight. But what happens to 85% of the people who are successful on those diets?
Yeah.
They gain their weight back because they haven't had behavior change. That's the key. There has to be behavior change.
And so how do you institute that? Because it sounds like the fuelings that you're talking about, that's the thing that gets you transitioned from eating that bad food, that high carb food or whatnot, right? That's their way of saying, okay, I don't have to think. I just have these fuelings or this food product that I can just rely on temporarily.
They'll do the work in the body.
Right.
Correct.
But is a fueling a food product?
It is
a supplement?
It's food. And the best way to understand it, in order for us to be able to provide our clients with fuelings that have the same nutritional footprint every time they eat, we start with dehydrated food. This is what the doctor understood from a scientific standpoint. You start with regular food, you dehydrate it, and there's two reasons for dehydration. Number one, it gives you shelf life without preservatives, and number two, it allows you to add back all the plant protein sources, all the vitamins and minerals, so that every fueling can have the same nutritional content.
Okay.
And that's why you're able to normalize blood sugar so rapidly, because nothing's going to go up and down. It's all going to be the same. But the nice part of it is food, and it tastes great.
But you have to follow that. That's your 3 meals a day?
Well, it depends on what protocol you're on, but every one of our protocols follows one foundational scientific principle, and that is that we all know that the healthiest way to eat is to eat small, properly proportioned, nutritionally balanced meals throughout the day, right? We all know that. So our foundation for every one of our protocols is that we help our clients learn how to fuel their bodies 6 times a day, every 2.5 to 3 hours. And that's where the fuelings come in handy, because they're quick, easy to prepare, non-refrigerated. You can travel, you can do anything. We've helped operating room surgeons lose 123 pounds. One vascular surgeon from Florida, for example, that we know. He's in operating room 8-10 hours a day. How do you eat every 2.5 to 3 hours? With our fuelings, you can do
how long
that.
is this the initial program? Is there any set time?
Depends on what the goal is. For someone like that doctor who needed to lose 123 pounds, it took him 32 weeks.
Wow.
Following the program I was on.
But that's 132 pounds in less than a year. I mean, that is amazing.
His average loss was 4.5 pounds a week.
That's crazy.
I know. My average was 5 pounds a week. I lost my 50 pounds in 10 weeks. So, Larry, to answer your question, it depends on what the goal of the client is. Will depend about how long they need to use the fuelings. But here's the good thing, is that these fuelings are intended to be only a temporary vehicle to get people where they want to go with their weight or their health. Because what we do after they've achieved that goal, whatever that is, however long it takes, mine was 10 weeks, the doctor from Florida was 32 weeks. Once people get down to where they want to go, then we transition them off of our fuelings. Because what we've done in that period is change their habits. Now they've got the habit of fueling their body every 2.5 to 3 hours. Now we show them how to get off of our fuelings and replace them with whole food, so they can continue for the rest of their life using whole food. We do it over a 6-week period, that transition over a 6-week period, bringing in vegetables, fruits, dairy, and whole grains over that period. What we're really doing is recalibrating the body's metabolism to whole food, so it doesn't jump right back into overproduction of glucose and insulin again. Right. And once that transition is period, then we help them create an entirely whole food eating plan for them with the foods they like, so they can eat that for the rest of their life and know how to do it 6 times a day.
So
and that's what I've done for 12 years.
And that's an eating plan that you just give them guidelines, and they just go to the market.
Correct.
Buy the
foods they want.
So they don't have to go to your product for the rest of their life.
So it's not like, what was the name of the lady who had the weight loss thing that you have to be addicted to or whatever?
I can't remember.
Well, she's a famous person that has that. I can't remember it now.
But what company designs their product for
not
the
to
client
be used.
to stop using it?
Yeah. That's crazy.
That's what I love about what I do, is that there's no gimmicks involved here. There's no gotchas.
Have you suffered or been injured by someone else's negligence? When you need a legal team that will stand up for what is right, won't give up the fight and obtain justice, call 818-886-6600. Mandel Trial Lawyers specializes in personal injury cases of all types. Whether it's a car accident, product or premises liability, dog bite, or a catastrophic injury, Mandel Trial Lawyers are there for you when the fight is worth it. Call now for your free consultation. 818-886-6600. Let the scales of justice tip in your favor.
So you were talking about different components.
Yes.
What are the other components?
Okay, we've talked about the fuelings, and I told you about the 85% factor of people gaining their weight back. The doctor that created the lifestyle program. That's component number 2. Helps us learn the behavior changes we need to do to be able to sustain what we've learned how to do.
Okay.
While we were on whatever health protocol was appropriate for us. So they have that lifestyle program, and it deals with those additional areas of our lives that we need to have the healthy behavior changes with, like healthy sleep, for example, stress management, for example, introducing exercise and motion into our lives, which are age and physical condition appropriate.
Right.
That's, once we get down to a healthy weight, that's only the start of having a healthy body.
That's so true.
Then we can take it to the next level by changing our behaviors in the other areas that the lifestyle program is designed to help us with. That's component number 2. The third component is community. And that is, you don't need to feel like you're on your own, out in the world by yourself, all alone in the woods doing this program. We have so much virtual support in addition to what the coach provides to the client. I'll get to that in a minute. But we have doctors' calls, nurses' calls, healthy habits calls, their live webinars, all available to the client for free.
Wow.
And it costs them nothing. And that provides an extra layer of support to support them while they're going through their journey to get to their healthy goal. And finally, the fourth component is the coach. And this has to do with the second statistic I was telling you that the doctor knew about, and that is he understood that 95% of the people who start any health program, any weight loss program, without support quit within 3 weeks.
Right.
That's the reason.
Why is that?
That's the reason the gyms are empty in February.
Yeah.
The reason is willpower is a finite resource. It doesn't sustain itself forever. So we mean well when we want to go to the gym and we want to exercise. We mean well when we want to start a diet. But why don't people complete those diets so often?
Because it's easier to sit in front of the TV and eat your ice cream.
Yeah,
But you know what?
potato
Why?
chips.
Because that's our habit. And so we really are a habit-changing organization. We treat as that statistic means that he had to provide the support, and the support is the health coach. That's who I am.
And is there a fee for that covers everything, or is it like a monthly fee, or how do how does it work out from a cost standpoint?
That's a good question, and it's the beauty of what I appreciate about what I do. Is there's no contracts assigned, there's no minimums to buy those fuelings that I mentioned to you that we talked about at the very beginning. Those are the only things that the customer buys in order to participate in any of the health programs that we have that are appropriate for them. And all they are doing is let me explain it a little differently. The weight loss protocol that I was on, for example, and that doctor was on, for example, is called the 5-in-1. I told you his fundamental principle is eating 6 times a day, every 2.5 to 3 hours. That 5-in-1 means is that 5 of the meals that we're going to eat every 2.5 to 3 hours are going to be our company fuelings. And 1 is going to be 1 whole food meal of the lean protein and green vegetables of the client's choice. Now, think about that. If a client is going to consume only 1 whole food meal a day, that means the food dollars they're spending today, they're not going to spend on food for 2 meals a day and the snacks in between, which a typical American eats. They're only going to spend their food dollars on necessary to give themselves 1 whole food meal.
Right.
That means the money left over, they're just going to go to the Optavia grocery store to buy the fuelings. There's no contract to sign. There's no minimums to buy. All they're going to do is redirect their existing food dollars to our grocery store to buy the fuelings, to get them where they want to go. And then, because of that transition process that I told you about, when they reach their goal, they move their food dollars right back to the regular grocery store.
But they still have access to the coach and things that you just previously mentioned.
And the nice part about it is then, for most people, because of that, we're just redirecting their existing food dollars, it doesn't cost them any more money out of their existing budget.
Stay connected with us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and of course, brothersonlaw.com. How do they get in touch with you, Rick?
Well, the best way is to contact us through our cell phone. We have an international health practice. Most of our clients are here in this country because of the referrals that people have, and that, a friend of mine gets healthy on the program, and he's got a brother-in-law in Rhode Island, and he tells him about it, and he gets healthy, and he tells his mother-in-law who's in Connecticut, and so on. But we have clients in Hong Kong, South Africa, London, Peru, Canada, Mexico.
Nice.
Most of them here in this country.
So what's that cell phone number?
818-522-8089.
Say that one more time.
818-522-8089. And for the ladies out there who would be more comfortable talking to another lady about this program, about their health and their weight, they can talk to my wife, who
on the same number?
Together. She's got a different number. And
Okay,
I'll give
what's
you that
that?
too. That is 818-414-0808.
One more time.
818-414-0808.
And what is her name again?
Louisa,
Louisa
Luisa.
Perfect. So I want to talk about a couple of things I just see, that kind of merge into what Larry and I do. And that is, I can see that in trying to wean people off of chronic disease, really, you could be, there are people that make money on that.
Yes, they do.
There are physicians that treat these things, and I'm not saying that they don't have their best interest at heart, but I mean that is a source of income. These chronic diseases that can be alleviated through proper habits, and the big pharma that throw the Band-Aids, the very expensive and chronically used Band-Aids at them. So what is there a conflict at all that arises between your efforts and those very big institutions that are dealing with these problems?
Yeah, I'm not sure if conflict is the right word, but it probably is. As I mentioned earlier when we were talking, the traditional medical practice is to diagnose chronic disease and treat the symptom with pharmaceuticals.
Right.
And what that does is it only continues to prolong the bad habits. It doesn't deal with the habits. It just deals with the symptom. It pushes down, the pharmaceuticals chemically push down blood pressure and glucose.
Right. So how do you have moments where there's political or legal pressures being applied to you that in doing what you're doing that you have to deal with?
I would say I don't know if I would call it a pressure as much as I would say there is a conflict between the traditional medical profession and the way they're trained and the way they think, right, and what we do.
And do they attack? I mean, do they say, hey, we're going to sue or anything like that?
No, but doctors traditionally, when I try and make an effort to talk to them and let them know how our program can help their patients, most of them simply don't have ears to hear.
They don't want to embrace it.
They do not want to embrace it.
That's unusual. It's surprising, I guess.
Yeah. But there's got to be doctors out there that, you were talking about having doctors on your team.
There are.
Yeah.
There's quite a few that have the heart for helping people, and when they hear about our program and how they can help people get off of their medications, multiple medications in many cases, there are those that do embrace that. And out of the 25,000 plus Optavia coaches that exist all over this country and internationally now, about 20% of them are credentialed health professionals.
Oh, wow.
So they are coming around.
Yeah.
But still, unfortunately, the majority of medical doctors.
Hard to steer the Titanic.
We're Larry and Rob Mandel, the brothers-in-law, here on Go Country 105. Do you have a legal issue you need help with? We want to hear from you.
Find us on Instagram and send us a message. Then tune in on Saturdays at 8 a.m. right here on Go Country 105.
Rick, we're going to shift over to a tip of the day.
This is what we do, Rick. We have to do our tip of the day.
Alrighty.
So, Rob, let's hear the tip of the day.
All right, so anybody allergic to bees out there? Hey, it's summer, and more time outside could mean a greater possibility of a bee sting. So what you should do if you're allergic is get an EpiPen. Carry it with you and learn how to use it. It's also a good idea to have your loved ones know how to administer your EpiPen too, in case you do get stung. So this all goes for any severe food allergies or anything like that. So just stay prepared, and like Rick, is preparing us, to get off of these bad eating habits. You stay prepared and you stay alive.
Okay.
Right?
And Rob, we're at true or false, and we're going to ask Rick to join in on us.
Join in, Rick.
In Delaware, it's illegal to sell the hair of a dog or cat. Is that true or false? What do you think, Rick?
Wow, that's so weird. It's got to be true.
That is.
Throwing one out of the blue at it.
Yeah, sorry. Just that's our true or false law.
Wait, it's true then. Because you read it, it's illegal. It's written here.
It's legal.
Oh, is it legal? It's not legal. It is not legal.
Oh, I misunderstood. Okay.
It is not legal to sell dog or cat hair. Why would you want to sell dog or cat hair in Delaware?
I don't know. Maybe to make a coat.
I don't know. That's just a weird. Well, I hope they're not. I hope they're shaving the hair off and not just doing something bad to a dog or a cat. All right. Well, let's check the Mandel message box.
Let's check the Mandel message box.
Derek from Fontana messaged us. I have mold in my bathroom. I think it's black mold. Isn't my landlord responsible for taking care of this? Isn't black mold dangerous to my health? Rob, what do you think?
Well, Derek, I would say your landlord may be responsible. It depends on what the source of this black mold is. Is it a chronic leak in the pipes in the common areas, or is it something that you're doing yourself in the apartment, the way you're managing your showers or something like that? Typically, black mold comes along, to my understanding, from a very chronic situation. We were talking about chronic problems. And so you have to check and see what the source of the black mold comes from moisture. You have to see what the moisture is. And so the short answer to the question is the landlord may be responsible. And yes, if it's truly black mold, it can be very toxic to many people. But you want to have it removed. There are companies that come in, they remove the mold, they can remove the source of the moisture, and then you can see if that's something that the landlord is more likely than not responsible for at that point. And of course, you should always be talking to the right lawyer. We don't personally do mold cases, but we do know people who do.
That's right.
So they can check in with us, Derek, if you want, or check in with your local bar association out there in Fontana and see if you can get a referral to someone who handles mold cases, if need be, especially if you're getting sick.
Is it time to wrap it up, or do we have another question for Rick? What do you think?
I was just, thinking when you were talking before about how hard it would be for a lot of people to give up that big meal because it's a social thing. It's something you grow up with, and you look forward to this big old, 9 course, but this many course meal every night, 6, 7 o'clock at night, you're packing it down. And that's and it's a social thing. You're sitting there with your family. Exactly. I think this is kind of a hard thing for a lot of people.
Rob, you hit the nail on the head. It's the reason why what we do is virtually identical in the food arena that counselors do in AA, because alcohol is an addiction. The same thing that rehab counselors do for people who are drug addicts. But the difference is we can live without drugs. We can live without alcohol.
Right.
We can't live without food.
Right.
And so we have to help our clients through that struggle in a different way than people do with AA and drug rehab programs.
But
the concept and support's the same.
Right.
It's time to wrap it up, Rob.
Yeah, well, Rick, thank you so much for being on the show. We really
pleasure.
Appreciate it. And, again, folks, if any of you are serious about changing your lifestyle and getting well and getting over chronic diseases like diabetes, or hopefully, and obesity, get a hold of Rick. And just one more time, what are those two numbers that they can reach you and Louisa at?
My number, Rob, is 818-522-8089. And Louisa's number is 818-414-0808.
Perfect. Again, thanks, Rick. And if you missed any part of this show and want to check out any of our previous shows, you can find them on brothersonlaw.com or on YouTube. So please tune in next Saturday at 8 a.m. right here on Go Country 105.
And remember, let the scales of justice tip in your favor.
The opinions expressed in the Brothers on Law show are for informational purposes only and are not a substitute for personal professional legal advice.